I just wanted to briefly say that due to the highly collaborative nature of the project, we decided to record a video despite me being here, as we wanted to speak about each of our steps in our own words. And sadly, my collaborators could not make it, but they send their hellos, and please enjoy the video.
And your co-coordinators are from the Yale University Library and Art Gallery. Your stipend at the moment at MoMA is the David Booth Fellow.
Yes.
Media art archiving, both attending virtually and on-site in Paris. This presentation is titled Preserving a Hardware-Dependent Digital Artwork, Investigating Disk Imaging and Emulation Strategies. My name is Claire Fox, and I'm presenting alongside my colleagues David Cirella and Ethan Gates from Yale Library, and Madeline Smith from the Museum of Modern Art. This presentation is adapted from our short paper in the conference proceedings, and we encourage you to read it for more detail on our work. Back in 2021, Ethan and Madeline were part of a team from Yale Library and Yale University Art Gallery, aiming to test whether the Emulation as a Service infrastructure platform, also known by its acronym ISEA, could be used as a tool for born digital artwork assessment and access. They anticipated challenges related to emulation technology and the use of ISEA, but they also encountered challenges to seemingly routine parts of the workflow. And David and I joined the project later to provide additional support. During this presentation, Madeline, David, Ethan, and I will provide context for the artwork selected for this case study, the process of disk imaging the artwork, the process of investigating emulation as an assessment and access strategy, and we'll close with parting thoughts from the process. Now I'll hand off to Madeline to talk about the artwork.
Thanks, Claire. Joseph Smolinski's Tree Turbine is a high-definition digital animation video artwork created in 2007. The digital animation runs on a 3-minute, 40-second loop, depicting a series of power-generating wind turbines in the form of fake pine trees that slowly spin in the wind as the animation moves through various scenes where the turbines are installed and generating power. The artwork is part of a series Smolinski created around the concept of what humankind's potential biotech future might look like. Smolinski began working with the imagery of cellular communication towers disguised as trees, thinking how to use the aesthetic of the common cell tower tree to build a spinning tree turbine that would generate usable electricity and would camouflage into the landscape. Tree Turbine is Smolinski's first envisioning of this functioning electric wind turbine, created as an animated concept video for a physical 20-foot tall tree turbine prototype Smolinski later built as part of an exhibition at the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art. Tree Turbine was created during a period in which Smolinski was beginning to explore how to translate his work into different mediums, including the use of 3D animation. 3D animation has since become part of his regular artistic practice. Smolinski is a multidisciplinary artist and educator based in New Haven, Connecticut. As a physical artwork, the core components of Tree Turbine consist of an H.264 MOV digital video file stored on a 2006 Mac Mini computer. The Mac Mini is connected to a modified Apple 23-inch cinema display monitor dating from between 2004 and 2008 that displays and plays the digital file. Past exhibitions of the work use the Apple QuickTime application as the playback method. A dedicated mouse and keyboard are used to control the computer and monitor.
Our process for obtaining a copy of the artwork was guided by the need to maintain the physical integrity of the system itself. In this case, that meant not disassembling the Mac Mini computer to remove the hard disk, which would allow using a hardware write blocker to safeguard the original data when imaging. Given this limitation, we instead utilized a Linux-based live CD to operate the original hardware and access the internal hard drive while avoiding booting the original operating system or mounting its file system. All data generated while operating in this manner with the live CD is held only in system RAM, protecting the internal disk from modification. An external hard drive was attached via USB, formatted with a compatible file system, and mounted by the live CD system to serve as destination for the image data. Throughout the process, command line utilities were used to report and log details, including hardware properties, disk sector size, and device identifiers. This acted as a safeguard while formulating potentially destructive commands and provided an informal audit trail of the full process. For capturing the highest fidelity copy of the work, a block level copy was created using the DD tool to duplicate the bit stream of the internal disk, including all partitions, operating systems, software, and data from the original work. This type of replication is performed without mounting the original disk and produces an image file that's viable for use in various ways. These include being cloned to a replacement drive, which could be usable in the original or equivalent hardware. It can be mounted for file level access using a modern host system, and it can be booted in virtual emulated computing environment. Executing the DD command cloned the 80 gig internal disk to our disk image file in just under an hour. Our final step in the imaging process was to verify the integrity of our clone. This began with establishing a checksum of the source data by using the MD5 sum utility to compute a hash value for the internal disk drive. Next, a checksum of our disk image file was computed and compared to the original disk, confirming that we were successful in creating a bit-perfect copy. In addition, we verified content access by mounting this image on a modern Linux system to copy individual files. And the checksum value generated from the original disk has been stored alongside the cloned data to be used in integrity verification between future moves between systems and storage locations.
With a verified complete disk image of the Mac Mini in hand, we were able to move to the next phase of our case study, evaluating emulation and the ISEA platform specifically, pictured here, as a method of curatorial and archival assessment. I decided to first run an emulation test locally on my own workstation with a copy of the preservation disk image before uploading it to ISEA. It was prudent not to jump straight to a remote server-based emulation platform like ISEA, which would potentially introduce multiple points of failure and cloud the troubleshooting process if issues arose. And unfortunately, issues were discovered immediately. The operating system on the Mac Mini turned out to be Mac OS X 10.4, codenamed Tiger, and despite trying numerous tutorials, tips, and even hacks found on the internet, I was unable to boot the disk image in QEMU, which is the same open source machine emulator and virtualizer that ISEA uses to run Intel x86 systems like the Mac Mini. I've yet to find evidence or guidance from anyone using QEMU to run the Intel version of OS X Tiger, or indeed any Intel version of OS X earlier than 10.6, codenamed Snow Leopard. So the only way we could proceed with the experiment and evaluation at all was to use an acquired Snow Leopard installer to force update the operating system on the disk image. This already violated one of our parameters for the case study, as updating the operating system potentially altered the computing environment of the Mini, but we decided to demonstrate this updated version of the disk image to the art gallery staff anyway, as there was frankly no other way to move forward. It was also impossible to upload the disk image to ISEA and allow the art gallery staff to inspect and evaluate the image remotely, because even booting Snow Leopard in QEMU requires custom code developed by the online Hackintosh community, and this custom code was not at the time of this case study available in ISEA. We still had a promising session with curatorial and IT staff from the art gallery on the abstract value of emulation and ISEA for assessment or exhibition of accessioned works like Smolinski's Mac Mini. But due to time constraints on the case study, Maddie's fellowship with the gallery was ending, and the lack of remote emulation access, I couldn't see the original machine while art gallery staff couldn't see or control the emulation, made it so the evaluation of the Mac Mini and its relationship to future preservation of Smolinski's artwork was left inconclusive.
In conclusion, we'd like to reference Dr. Melanie Swalwell's paper from the second summit on New Media Art Archiving, titled The Australian Emulation Network, Accessing Born Digital Cultural Collections. In that paper, Dr. Swalwell described growing community efforts to take advantage of emulation's potential by bringing together practitioners using the ISEA platform as a community of practice in order to build confidence around born digital collecting. As you've hopefully seen, our work aims to build on this vision described by Dr. Swalwell by providing one example of a case study approached by colleagues with varied expertise. We hope to see and hear about efforts similar to ours in the near future, and we welcome your questions and feedback at any of our emails listed on this slide. Thank you so much.